I've decided that I think that holidays are overrated.
I agree.
I'm serious.
Especially all the man-made ones. Valentine's Day.
Well, not just that part of it. It's also the part of...
Well, they're all man-made, but I get what you're saying.
It's the exhaustion from them. Like, I think personally for me, I would like to start it where I get to do what I want to do on the holiday.
The expectations of it. Because I think everybody, especially previous generations, have this expectation in their head of how this perfect,
Pinterest, not back then, but, they have Norman Rockwell, let's say that, idea.
Yes.
But I think, too, it's like, maybe
How
I
it's
want to
gonna
eat
go.
Chinese or pizza at Christmas, or
I agree.
I don't know, maybe I just want to go lay on a beach somewhere by myself with no one talking to me on a holiday. You know what I mean?
Yes,
It
we
just gets
should
to
be able to do
stressful.
whatever we want.
Yeah.
And as we get older, I know people like traditions. I know kids like traditions. My kids have certain things that they like. My parents do too. But there comes a point where you're like, I just want to unplug. I don't want to do anything that I don't want to do. And Lori 5.2, you know this about me. I am not going to do anything that I absolutely positively don't want to do. If it's somewhere I don't want to go, if it's a bunch of people I don't want to talk to, I don't want to do it.
I'm working on that. Shayna 4.9's working on that, but
Wait.
there's still this little voice in my head. It's like, no, you've got to go do that.
No, when you get
And
to
I'm
5.2,
like, "No."
you do not give a rip. I do not care whose feelings I'm hurting. I'm doing what I want to do. Because all those years working in the financial services business, you had to go to every gala. You had to go to every event. You had to go to everything. Time is fleeting and it's precious. And if I don't want to do it, and I don't want to go somewhere and see the same people and have the same conversations, I'm not doing it anymore. Everything's too fleeting. We put ourselves last, especially as women. We put ourselves last.
Oh, we always have. And I think I'm learning that's not the way you're supposed to do it.
So we're not going to do that anymore.
Because you don't have anything left to give. If you always put yourself last, there's going to be a breaking point. And you go,
gotta
oh my
take care of
gosh,
us.
what have I been doing this? Yeah, yes. And I do believe that's on a beach somewhere with a nice margarita. If I close my eyes, I'm going to manifest it. Margarita, and the sun is shining, and the wind is blowing, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course, we're going to talk to someone today that he's doing something. We'll let him tell it, which I know people know, but let him describe it. But it's funny because he actually is doing something he wants to do. And it wasn't something that probably fit in his idea of what he was supposed to be doing in this point in his life, but I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
He put it off for a while, so it's going to be cool to hear him explain it. Thank you for joining us on the Style Podcast. We'd like to thank our sponsors today, Lake Center Homecare and Disability Consultants. We are thrilled today to have Quan Nguyen with us. Most of us know him as the Duct-Man, but he has got a new adventure on the horizon. So
That's right.
tell us about what's happening in your world.
So just recently, I got a hair up my backside and decided, you know what? They just raised the age group to 42. I was 41 when I started this venture back in February 2024. And I said, maybe I can join. And I joined the United States Air Force Reserve.
Good for you. That's awesome.
It's crazy. I've always wanted to join all my life. And when I first met my wife, she's like, what's your dream job? I was like, well, my dream is to help people. I'm passionate about that. And she goes, oh, what else? I said, well, I've always wanted to join the armed forces, whether it be Army, Marine, Navy, one of the armed branches there. And she's like, why? I said, you know what? I always think to myself, to what my dad, which he wasn't really in my life, but he said, Quan, we're very blessed. I think I was 5 or 6 when he left out of our lives, but he goes, Quan, whenever you get older, you need to really join the armed forces. I asked him why, and he goes, there was over 50,000 plus people that died in Vietnam, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be a kid in the United States learning English, and that always stayed with me. And then, of course, later in life, my mom married United States Air Forceman named Billy Bob Wills, and he was in the Air Force also. And I was like, one day. Well, that one day came and passed when I was 28. Then it was 32. Then it was 36. And they said, hey, they just raised it to 38. Maybe you should join. But if you get a 2-year degree on top of your 2-year degree, you can become an officer and not have a bunch of 20-year-olds tell you what to do. And I was like, maybe I should. Well, 38 came and went, life, family, and everything else. And here we are at 41 years. I told my wife, you know what? They just raised the age. She's like, are we going to do this again? She's like, if you're going to do it, I'm going to be 100% behind you. But you guys, when she says you guys, me and my different personalities, need to be able to go ahead in full force and head to.
I believe he would be a Phineas in their relationship like I am, because I'm the same way. So it's so funny to listen to you, because it's like, I don't know, you're probably too young, but when my kids were little, there was a cartoon, Phineas and Ferb. And every single day, Phineas would wake up and say, Ferb, I know what we're going to do today. And I joke with her that she's Ferb because I just come up with something like, I know what we're going to do today. And it's outlandish, but it's fun. And
it was such a crazy experience just to sign up. I think that's the biggest thing, that you got to know that, hey, this is the path that I'm going to want to choose. And everybody, including her, she's like, what about us? What about this? What about that? I said, hey, you know what? It's all going to work out. But when it's God's calling, I don't know where he wants me. I don't know what he wants me to do, but this is what I need to do. And, there's different routes that you have to take. First, you got to sign up. They ask you all kinds of questions. They're like, hey, are you doing this because, you need health care? And I was like, nope. I just feel like there was a calling. So when I did that, they sent me over to take my ASVAB and all that to see what my test scores was. But between that and the first signing and the actual time that I took my ASVAB, it was like six months, because I was thinking, hey, I signed up. I'm going to go ahead and study. And guess what, girls? I didn't study.
You didn't?
I didn't study whatsoever. But I did breeze through it. I took a little bit of a practice test just to see. Because what I didn't want was, I didn't want them to think that, hey, you scored a 90 on this. Now we're giving you all these technical jobs. And long story short, what if I am not a technical person?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I ended up scoring really, really nice. And it was a 73 or 77, one of the two. And I was like, man, this sucks. They're like, no, Army takes people at 31. I said, oh, I'm feeling better now,
You're at a different percentile.
So, but after that, of course, they sent us to MEPS. And when it was getting closer to the MEPS deadline where I had to leave to go over there and spend the night and do all my tests, nowadays, girls, they do credit check. You can't have a bankruptcy. They do background check, of course. You can't have felony or any arrest. They do, of course, psych check, physical check, a hearing check. They even do a reading check where it's like, hey, if I give you something, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall or so.
you have to be able to read it.
Not only read it, but understand it and said, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's to be able to interpret that, read it, interpret it, and then, of course, interpret to the next person. But just recently, everybody's like, Quan, when are you going to go? I said, hey, it's going to be in July, but I have a 4-day weekend that I have to go for the delayed entry program. And that was just last month. Next week, I'm going again. But when I went down there,
Where'd you go? Where'd you have to go?
so I went all the way to Homestead in Miami. And I really have to learn 0600 or 2100.
military
and,
time.
and it's not that difficult, but the unfortunate
brain
thing
doesn't
is,
work that way.
It's like, it's just a learning process. As a 42-year-old man, I might look like a kid, but like I'm a grown man with a bunch of
No,
responsibilities.
it's a totally different mindset.
It's like, holy cow.
Our nurses do it because they do it
do
a lot
they?
at hospitals, and they'll say did it at 14:30. I'm like, listen to me.
I got to think about
They're like,
what-
just subtract it. I'm like, I ain't got time for that.
12 plus niner. Is there
Yeah.
a niner in there,
I can't do it.
So I go down there, and you got a bunch of 22, 24-year-olds like, I'm at attention. Hey, tell me what to do and this and that. And I was really taken back on the structure of, the Air Force. And a lot of people ask me, hey, Quan, why the Air Force? Well, I'd love to join the Marine or the Marine or the Army, but they capped it at 32. So that's 10 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
So Air Force, and now they have the Space Force, is the only ones that would take you at 42, or you have to swear in before your 42nd birthday. But when I got there, Learned a lot from whether it be the creed, the song, the rankings, but also there's a physical test every day.
Every day?
Every day, girls. So as a 42-year-old man, I look younger, thank you. You know,
You do.
a
You do.
little bit
do
younger,
look younger.
but I definitely don't look 21 because the 21s look like babies now.
Yeah.
You know,
They do, don't
so,
they?
oh my God, they're like, hey, you look 12. It's like, I'm 22. And it's like, okay, I'm sorry. And then I have the lingo has changed too. There's a cap, you know, that means you're lying, or instead of my bad, my fault, you know, that they're using all kinds of lingo where it's like, oh, that's sus. And it's like,
Oh my gosh, I know, because I have an almost 21-year-old and almost 18-year-old, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
what does that mean?
Oh yeah, and it's so funny. You know, we're in a structured environment, but whenever they're at lunch, they're still like dancing and doing all this, and I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, is this what I'm gonna have to be looking forward to? These kids basically doing that, and then in a structured environment telling me what to do. But what's good is to mentally prepare for something like this, even though it's just the delay entry program, I have to basically have an open mindset of, hey, you signed up for this. Hey, you put yourself in this position. And hey, be blessed that you're here right now, because this opportunity would never came. You know, this opportunity already came and went 3 or 4 different times when they raised the age group. And here I am. Hey, I'm glad to be here.
What does it look like as far as, have you done boot camp?
So no, I have not.
haven't.
So
Okay.
that's the next step. In July, I'm going to be doing boot camp. They say it's 8.5 weeks, but I think it's 9.5, 10 weeks, because week 1 starts with 0. Yes,
thing to
yes.
do.
And they say back then they used to give 2 weeks after boot camp for you to go your technical school, whatever your training technical school is. I'm not going to be gone, and I'm not going to be home from July all the way to almost December. So if you can only imagine, as a grown man with a job, career, and all that, thank goodness that I have good people. Thank you, Tim, and all those guys that we've put in place.
Yeah, because you also own a very successful business.
We do. But I can't believe that I'm going to be leaving for almost 6 months with no communication from when I leave to when they give me an opportunity to talk. And even when I get an opportunity to talk to my wife, you know, you don't want to waste that opportunity to do business. You want to be
Right.
like, how's the kids? Is there anything new? Did someone get hurt? What's going on? How's so-and-so doing in softball or baseball or whatever it is? So there's a lot of things that you think about as a
That is a
grown
long
man,
time.
you know? But I am mentally preparing for this. We're putting people in place. We've got so many things going on, but we've decided we're not selling. I just want to let everybody know that. But we've decided, you know what? We just won't pick up humongous projects that will take 3 to 6 months to finish anymore. The manpower is already going to be there for what we've got. We've got over 5,000.
Tell for the people that don't know.
For the people that don't know, I own a decently sized air conditioning company called Duct-Man Mechanical. We do everything from new duct work to mini splits to fixing your problem or changing out
That's
your
what you
entire
need in your
unit.
office is a mini split, my friend. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
they're the best thing ever.
Oh yeah, in your bedroom. That's a big thing. And man caves.
That's what we did. We had to put one because it was a bonus room over the garage. So we even with
is
2
correct.
units, with that mini split, it's like you can sit in there. It's like in a refrigerator.
It's
Heaven.
so crazy. But you know, years ago I worked for a guy and he was Marine Recon. That's like the special forces, you
Yeah,
know,
that's
they
super
have Army Ranger, Air Force PJs, they're paratroopers. He was Recon, and I think there was 5 people that worked for him, and 4, except me, were either in the armed forces or the Marines of some sort. Even his son was. So I was like, man, one day I'm gonna be, you know, that brotherhood, that camaraderie. And here I am, 30 years later, you know, here, and I'm thinking, holy cow, I can't believe I'm here.
Well, you seem happy about it.
You know what? I'm so excited for the opportunity just because I talked to my mom yesterday too as well, and I was like, Mom, can you believe? And she's like, I can't believe that. I told you all my life that every single person was either in the armed forces or the police officer, and every single one of her relatives, uncle, dad, her dad got shot at when she was 3. She never really knew him from Vietnam. And here I am. I'm not going to put myself in the line of fire because of the position that I took in the Air Force. But I said, Mom, how'd I get here? And she's like, Quan, I don't really know how you do things, but it just seemed to work. But one thing about you and Asian moms, and for those Asian people out there, I'll tell you guys this, they don't give compliments. It's just like, she's like, Quan, you're not fat anymore. It's like, well, I was fat at one point, Mom. Like, come on. Like, I didn't know I was fat. But she's like, Quan, one thing about you, you're not afraid of hard work. And I told my wife that. My wife's like, did she compliment you? I was like, I guess if that's a compliment, but that's like a backhanded compliment. But I just think that that's just something that I have to do to get to the stepping stone to the next step, you know? So here we are at 42 years old, just getting ready to go and prep and put everything in place. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to be able to keep all this in place. It's wild, ladies. I
can imagine. You wake up one morning and you're like, did I do that?
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, but thank you to Lake Center Homecare and Disability Consultants.
Get all the Social Security disability benefits you deserve with disability consultants Chris Bell and Jeff Bell. Our experienced Florida certified ADR handle claims on a contingency fee basis, meaning you don't pay unless we recover money for you. We have established a strong reputation as a firm that cares and provides the best care to its clients. Call us today or visit cbell.com.
Welcome back to the Style Podcast. Today we're speaking to Quan Nguyen. Thank you for giving us a chance to talk to you before you go into the Air Force Reserves. And let's get back to that because I'm so intrigued by all of this. And tell us what the difference for you will be with going into the reserves as opposed to going into the full-time Air Force.
Okay. So one thing I realized about the reserves, it's 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year that you have to drive to your detail, which mine is going to be in Miami. And you would think Miami's amazing and it's beautiful, but in reality, I'm like Homestead. So it's like way down south of Miami, like an hour and a half away from Miami Beach and all the glitz and glamour. Mm-hmm. But during the time that we're there, we're going to, of course, do continuing education, learning. If you are in the active military, you actually... Everybody goes to the same boot camp, whether you're active or the reservists. But when you're in boot camp, once you get done with that, you go to your tech school. Once you go to tech school, and everybody does this, a reservist or active, once you're done with that, then they'll tell you, hey, this is where you're going to be stationed at for the active people, whether it be North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Dakota, wherever the Air Force branch needs you and your job that you signed up for. Some people might be in Hawaii, which is amazing, but some people might be in, someone told me that they were in Wyoming, and I was like, well, what's out there? They're like a bunch of desert and animals, you know? So I know that the job that I chose is called Airman Egress, which is going to concentrate on the jet ejection seats of these fighter jets. That's a specialty job. It's not rare, but it's more rare than the others. The only bad part is it's very deployable. And meaning if someone needs you to look at a jet or whatever it is over in, I don't know, Czechoslovakia or a different country, you just have to fly over there. And the detail can be 2 weeks all the way to 6 to 9 months, depending on what they need. The main reason why I chose that job is, one, the test scores, it'll dictate what you can and cannot choose. I actually wanted to do air conditioning, and they're like, Quan, you're going to be in the heat. You're already going to be in the heat. Why don't you go ahead and choose a different job where you're going to somewhat be in the air conditioning, but it's also cool because you can work on jets because Air Force has lots of jets. And I was like, you know what? That's right. I was like, can I be a pilot? They're like, no, sir, that was 14 years ago. 28 is when we were taking it. And I was like, oh, yeah. They're like, you look young, but you're definitely not going to be a pilot because the G-forces that they have to sustain, you know, and someone older like myself may not be.
You have to have certain vision, don't you?
100%. I do have 20/20 vision, no waivers, believe it or not, but it's because I had LASIK. Oh. And so believe it or not, I'm one of the oldest that have gone in 2 MEPs with passing it with flying colors with no waivers. Because a lot of times when you go in, the waivers are like, hey, Shayna, you got LASIK, your eyes are not 20/20, so what we're going to do, we're going to give you a waiver. And if something goes on wrong with your eyes, the government's not going to cover it because you got a waiver for you to be able to be in that position.
Gotcha.
Or, hey, you've got ADHD. Before then, if you've got PTSD or something that, that crosses to ADHD, hey, that's not going to be covered. So I didn't get any waivers whatsoever. I didn't need to have any waivers. Everything from the health to the credit check to the background, hearing, eyes, even to the reading test, I didn't have any waivers. And when I told my wife that, she's like, that's pretty impressive because you don't do nothing around the house.
I know you don't hear me when I'm talking to you.
Yeah. You're what do they call it? You're hearing me, but you're not listening. You know.
Yeah.
So,
I do that.
but there was no waivers. But I want to tell you guys a story. As one of the older guys that went over to my 4-day delayed entry program, I was more worried about like activeness, because all these guys are like, they're running, they're active. When I got there, you do something with PT, your physical test, or I think that's what they call it, the PT. And they're like, you have to run around this track to start. We do our stretches and stuff to warm up, but you have to run around this track for 23 minutes nonstop. Well, 23 minutes, lady, 2-3, not 2-3 minutes, 23 minutes nonstop.
I saw a meme the other day that said, run spelled backwards is ner, and that's a ner for me. Like, no. 23 minutes.
That's a lot.
2-3.
Passed out.
2-3. And, we're dealing with a different generation. And I don't know if the people out there know, but I went from 207 down to 171 today when I weighed myself. So that's kind of drastic,
That is a drastic weight loss.
It is. But I'm not on Ozempic if anybody's listening. No, I am not on. That's the new craze. Apparently, I'm not losing my butt or anything. So I am not on Ozempic. But
Man, I wish I was something.
yeah, we just exercise a lot, high energy exertion, playing a lot of basketball, and we do, of course, running, and of course, since this whole process started, sit-ups and push-ups and squats and all that. But 23 minutes.
Dear God, really?
Oh, you know what?
And you picked this.
And I picked this, and I put myself through it. But what's great is I feel better.
Oh, that is true.
And I'm always up in an attic somewhere, just to look. I don't work that much anymore, but don't say anything. This is off the record. No, I'm kidding. But as I was there, we all lined up. There's, I think, 40 or 50 people there. And they said, girls and boys, if you think that you are faster or a faster runner, you guys need to get in the front because the slower runner will be in the back. I was like, okay, well, I'll get in the middle, because, I might look young, but I'm in the middle, 20, 30 people in the front, 20, 30 people in the back, no problem. When they said that, Shayna and Lori, let me tell you, all these people got in front of me. And when I was at the YMCA coaching, the parents have their kids at the YMCA to be able to compare other kids, hand-eye coordination, if they're faster, if they're smaller, if they're taller or shorter, And I'm looking around and I was like, all right, this guy can probably beat me, 6'2", a little bit heavier than me, kind of built. And this guy there's no way this guy can beat me. And this girl, she's short and stubby and this and that. I was like, you kind of compare yourself a little bit.
Did you go to the front?
No, I went to the middle and then I looked back. There's like 15 people behind me. And I was like, there's no way that every single person here is faster than me. Well, they blew the whistle. I started. This is a marathon, not a race.
Right.
True.
And I've done triathlons, I've done marathons, half marathons, 5K, 10Ks, you name it. And it might have been a while ago, but I've ran in high school. I know how to basically distance myself.
Right. Make it
and
last.
pace myself and make it last for 23 minutes nonstop. I started, nice slow pace. These guys are flying. One lap, and I was right behind them. Think of when you're watching the Olympics, there's one guy lagging behind just to see where everybody is. Well, after lap number 2, man, they were dropping like flies, and I'm just doom, 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 doom. Lap 3, doom, 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 doom. Then they're like, if you are slower, go to the right side or on the other track, that way you can get the passing lane, the inside lane. As we ran, after lap 5 or 6, I've passed everybody except 2 or 3 people, and I'm still running. And I was like, give me the time. And every time that I ran back to the beginning, the sergeant had the time. Oh, it's 2 minutes per lap. It's 2 minutes, 30 seconds per lap. It's 2 minutes, 40 seconds. So we were able to time if we should speed up or slow down. Well, after I'm there, they're like, Trainee Nguyen, after the 6th lap, they're like, Trainee Nguyen, how old are you? I was like, I'm 28. And I just kept going around. They're like, you're not 28. I was like, I'm 42. And he's like, okay. I'm going around 6 lap, 7 lap. I think the most is 9 laps in that, you know, and I did 7.5. And when we all stopped, they're like, Trainee Nguyen, everybody, I want you guys to look at Trainee Nguyen. And so I stood up and they said, Trainee Nguyen's 42 years old and he just did this lap and he finished 3rd out of everybody that was there. And I felt really good because you don't know what you're capable of unless you push your body. But even if you push your body by yourself, you got all these other guys that are somewhat comparable to you.
What happens if you couldn't keep running?
Well,
Were there people that couldn't keep
oh,
running?
they couldn't. They got to the side and started doing push-ups. And I've seen people, this girl was doing push-up and they were like 0, 0, 0. And she thought that he was joking, but she wasn't going all the way down. So it was on 0 the entire time.
Such a good thing that I did not join the military.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Well, I tell you, I kind of raised some flags right there, and people were like, oh, wow, I can't believe that you're 42. You're running pretty good. You're in great shape. But when it came to the curriculum, and I didn't really know what to expect because this was my first time. I didn't know the rank, the creed. So, you know, we got the whole flight, they call it, we got in trouble because there was like a master sergeant that walked in and nobody stood up. And it's like, oh, or some type of commander that walks in.
Do they really yell at you like they do on TV?
You know what? We didn't get that because right now it's delayed entry. I think
Okay.
they want to kind of baby you and pat you on the back just a little
you
bit.
still
You think
John?
everything's great and
Oh,
shiny?
100%. But I will tell you this. I know for a fact that I'm going to get yelled at so much. I just know it. But I'm mentally preparing myself to make sure that I know some of the rankings. So I know it's like, hey, if one person's standing up and the rest of us aren't, maybe that guy knows something we don't. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
We're going to take another quick break. We'll be back in just a moment. But first, I'd like to thank Disability Consultants and Lake Center Homecare.
Nobody wants an aging family member who is unable to care for themselves to be home alone. Lake Center Home Care believes the best healing happens when you are most comfortable. The company provides exceptional personal care in the comfort and privacy of your own home. Whether you need skilled nursing, physical therapy, home health aides, or companion services, your loved ones will enjoy peace of mind knowing you're being taken care of and treated with respect and dignity. Lake Center Home Care is locally owned and managed with a team of highly qualified professionals who are passionate about taking care of their neighbors. Call 352-315-0050 or visit golchc.com to learn more about this amazing company.
Welcome back to the Style Podcast. We're continuing our conversation today with Quan Nguyen. Before the break, we were talking about ranking and remembering all the ranks and getting into all that. You're the boss right now. You own the business, and now you're about to
Have other people a lot younger than you tell you what to do.
Yeah, you've signed up and agreed to this.
Yep. Ladies, you are absolutely correct. You know, what do they say? You made your bed, now you got to lay in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did sign up for this, and I'm coming in this thing with basically open arms and a new way of thinking. You know, I've got a 2-year degree from 2005, which is 20 years ago. So people go in as an airman basic, where it's an E1. I don't want to say it's the lowest guy on the totem pole. With that and my tech school, once I'm out of boot camp, I'll be at E4 with everything. So it's pretty good. However, these younger generations, of course, we have a lot more, how would you say, life experience than they do. And I'm going to listen to them because I want to make sure that we follow the ranking. But when you're out there outside and you're not supposed to hang out with your, I don't know, superiors and such, but one thing I did find out was we all put our pants on the same way. We all face financial problems, you know, or credit score. So what was funny during that whole week was even though that the people were outranking me, after everything was said and done, they're like, hey, so do you have good credit? You know, and they're asking us this. So, and I feel like there's a lot of value there for me to learn from them in a, how would you say, structured environment, and them to learn from us who we've got real world
Life experience, right.
you know? So But a lot of people, they're going to be coming out and they're going to be E1, E2, and they just have to work their way up. It just so happens that I've got a 2-year degree that's going to help me, along with the tech school. I'll be an E4.
You'll be going in when some people your age are coming out, retired. They'll have their time in.
That is correct. People my age now, and a lot of the customers that I work with, they're like, my cousin's a colonel. I'd really like him to meet you. And I was like, why? So he can call me stupid for,
Right.
Going in during the time that either he's retiring or just how would you say this? A lot of the people that I tell that, hey, I'm one of the older guys coming in, and they're like, you know what? If you've always wanted to do it, I give you props, but I couldn't do it again.
Right.
A lot of them, the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, they're not getting in your face anymore. It's 12 inches, I think. I think it might be 6 or 12 inches that they can't physically touch you anymore. I don't know if you girls remember Full Metal Jacket,
Yes.
where they're screaming and punching and yelling, and if your platoon or your flight's not doing what they're supposed to do, they're like knocking you out. These drill instructors are like
When
that,
you say basic training, that's what comes to mind because those are the movies I grew up watching.
Yes.
So it's like, why would you sign up for somebody to be able to beat you up?
Or yell at you all the time.
And a lot of people are like, oh, the chair force. Well, guess what? They can make fun of the chair force all they want. I'm going to take pride in everything that I do. And when I go in here, I'm going to make sure that they know that it's not the chair force. Because guess what? Nobody that's 42 plus will be going in here to get not only yelled at, but basically get told what to do by a person half their age. You know what I mean?
So nobody's allowed to beat you up anymore. They can't do all that
they
crazy
can't
stuff
physically touch you. There's no hazing anymore. There's nothing with that. So I'm so excited to be able
So
to.
we don't have to worry
this
about like a
opportunity.
few good men scenario.
Oh no.
Is there anybody close to your age in the basic that you're going into, or will you not find that out yet?
So it's funny when they had me room with a person. They said, "Yeah, we're gonna have you staying with another guy, basically similar to your age." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." I didn't think nothing of it. Thinking they're 30 or 40. I go in there. I was like, "What's up, man? Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "What's up, brother?" I was like, "Oh, hey, man." I was like, "How old are you?" He's like, 26. I was like, 26, man. 26 was 16 years ago,
Technically, you could have been his teenage dad.
I really could have. I really could. I could have been on the MTV show, 16 and pregnant, or
Exactly. Tell me this: as far as benefits go, what are the difference between the benefits if you retire, if you're in the full, Air Force versus reservist, things like that?
So, benefits, especially with they've got TRICARE. If you're active duty, you get TRICARE for free. So right now,
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing. And when I tell you, going in older to be on active, let them tell you where you're stationed and you have a job full time, that's free. You know what I mean? But if it's a reservist, it's $250 for the entire family.
Oh, wow.
Ladies, right now we pay almost $1,600 for me and my wife and the 2 kids. My wife, of course, had cancer at one point, and I wanted to cover everything, but TRICARE covers every single solitary thing. They've got their own doctor on their own network and the whole shebang. The benefits right there. Now, the pension's a little bit different. Everything is on a point scale. So if you, for not only ranking, pay, but if I was active, and to all the people that are even thinking about joining active or reserves, I would say go ahead and try to see if you can try your luck, Definitely you can't be broken bones or have metal in your body or have bad credit or a felony or anything. But if you can weed some of those out, I hope that this interview, if nothing more, brings someone to say, hey, you know what? I can do that because that guy did it.
Well, and also I do know, it's so funny that we're doing this. I was just talking to my son yesterday where they'll pay for your college.
Well, 100%. So this is what a lot of people don't realize. So the GI Bill, actually, once you're done with boot camp and all that, and you decide, hey, you know what, I want to go to school, I want to be able to continue my education somewhere, because if you get your degree, your ranking, of course, will go up because those credit will count as those points for you to be able to rank up faster. But let's say you don't use it, and I think there's a specific time, which I don't know if it's 10 years or 15 years, I can literally pass it on to my wife and kids.
What, the college thing?
The college thing, 110%. And I was like, really? I was like, because right now my son's 18. He's about to graduate. He's like, I'm not trying to go to college. I really want to work for the company, which is a blessing, you know. We as parents, we always think we know what's best for the kids. And then when they choose their own path, we're kind of upset and disappointed, but happy at the same time. He's done wonders with, Brian, I love you. He's been doing wonders with our company, just learning all he can to be a sponge and really showing a active interest in our company, which a lot of the guys around here, they wish they had a son to give it to. And here I am, you know, he's doing what I'm doing and I'm wishing that he's not doing it. But let's say...
That sounds like, I mean, you know, because I think we do that. We have this idea of what we want our kids to do. But at the same time, they have to find their own path.
They will. And there's nothing worse than, you know, not to get sidetracked. This kid was football all his life, all the way to his junior year. They won 2 district championship with Eustis and the whole shebang. And he had an opportunity to play his senior year and maybe even get some scholarships or whatnot. And he's like, you know what? I'm just not into it. And I was like, why? He's like, well, I used to like it, and then I was in it for my sophomore and junior year because of you and my dad, and it's my stepson, of course, and the whole family. But I'm just not into it.
He was done.
And
That matters.
there's something when you go through life and you don't have any passion or willpower, it's going to show on the field. When you go through life and you don't like your job, it's going to show in your work. You know, so we want to make sure that we're not forcing him to do something that he's not.
And it is disappointing.
do.
You've watched them do something for so long, but then you
It
have to
is.
step back and say, but they're their own person.
100%. So if he decides within the next 10 or 15 years, let's say I get out, and I signed an 8-year contract, by the way. So think of this, 42 now, I'm in it. By the time that I get out, my smallest kid, my youngest kid is going to graduate high school, and I'm going to be 50 years old. But I know 50-year-olds that
Do they
I'm
have
4.9. She's 5.2.
That's right. Do you have an age in the reserves that you have to retire by? Do they give you that?
No. The reason why they raised it to 42 is so you can actually put 20 years in and still retire by your 62.
Oh, okay.
Your 62nd age. But going back to the GI Bill and college pay, they will actually pay for your kid's college if he decides to take some classes and whatnot. So
Very good.
And I do think it should. I know we say it's free. Okay, it's free, but in reality, it's really not, because you're paying for it by doing what you're doing.
Committing to this.
And I have
is
to,
correct.
I kudos to anyone that joins the military. It's a selfless thing in a lot of ways.
It really is. When I told my wife that I was going to join, and I was like, what do you think about it? She's like, well, what can I think? If you came up with this out of nowhere, out of the blue, it'd be one thing. But Quan, ever since that I met you, even when it was our first date, all the way till now, I've always said that I wanted to join. I've always said that maybe there could be a possibility. I've always said that, hey, if I can get the cojones, I'm going to be able to do it. She said that this is not about her. It's not about me. It's bigger than that.
Right.
And even though I'm going on this journey with wherever this journey is going to take us, she knows that, hey, if I don't do this, it will 100% be a resentment.
Well,
towards,
you'll
why didn't I do
yeah,
it? You know,
you only miss out on the chances you don't take.
110%.
And if you have I firmly believe this. If you have a desire for something, I truly believe it's meant to be yours. Like, you wouldn't have the capability of having it if you can't envision it and have it. And this is something that you obviously have envisioned for a very long time.
It's in you for a reason.
Very, very long. And, every time I talk about the armed forces, and even though I haven't gone to boot camp and I haven't done a lot of this, I'm just so excited to get started. And a lot of the guys that are in this flight, the same flight as me that I'm going to see next week, they're, hey, I'm ready to do this. Let's do this. But of course, there's a lot of benefits too. Not only healthcare, a lot of people, they're actually going in at an older age because they're thinking, hey, whether it's wartime or not wartime, whether it's tough time or recession, good times or a recession, guess what? They're using the armed forces, no matter which branch you're in, as a safe haven. They will always have something for you to do, whether it be reserves or active duty. So people are coming in, healthcare at an older age, being able to take care of your family, have a job. And when you're a reservist, guess what? It's kind of like firefighters, 24 on, 48 off. You can always find something else to do. This is America. You know, we have the land of opportunity.
Right.
As long as you want to be trading your time for the money that you can possibly make, you have the opportunity to do that. No one's going to say, hey, Shayna, Lori, you only have 40 hours. You can't do it. The rest, 168 hours in a week. The 128 hours, you have to sit at home and Netflix. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but one thing I did tell my wife, she's like, do you think this is going to be a vacation? I said, you know what? I just want to watch a karate movie when I'm like, after boot camp and at tech school, I just want to watch a karate movie because that's going to be the ultimate vacation to where I'm done with boot camp. I can sit down and relax a little bit because right now my mind is always racing.
Well, you may have to come back and talk to us after boot camp.
100%.
I definitely would
Let
love
us
to
know.
too, yeah.
Let us know how it went, how you felt about it. But we're so excited that you're doing this journey and that you're taking on this challenge. So, but we appreciate you being here with us today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks,
And we
guys.
definitely want to have you back when you're done.
Definitely.
Well, thank you for joining us on the Style Podcast today. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Disability Consultants and Lake Center Homecare. We'll see you next time.
I had a split second thought where if they raise the age, and then I'm like, I just don't think I could take. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to take 2 kind of
not
I
gonna-
had to,
yeah.
and so that's always been my biggest thing. But I'm really impressed. It's exciting. It's super cool. I mean, kudos.
I can't wait to
The
see how it
23-minute
goes.
running around track thing right there would have been like, yep, nope.
He had the right attitude, though.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
slow and
yeah.
steady
You
wins the
definitely
race,
don't
'cause all
ever
those
start
guys
something out
started out
if it's a time thing.
super fast.
Yeah. We
they
weren't seeing if you
shot
get to
it
the
all right ahead.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna run yourself ragged. Whereas he, okay, might
Stay the
pace it.
course.
Yeah,
I love it. So
yeah, it's great.
it'll be great to catch up with him when he gets back and see what goes
I know.
on.
I had a lot of fun.